Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricities, a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Boy. It is John Boy time. I am your host, John Francis Fahey. Joining me as ever, the pinnacle and perfection of perversion. Skeet Lovers Pizza. You're going to like the way he looks. I Aaron P. it. Aaron Joseph Pita.
Dude, I Aaron P. the bed every night.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
Jealous.
Oh, it could be you.
I know.
It could be any or either of you. Or all four of you.
And to your right, my left, handsome Matt Brousseau, the gall with it all, the Frenchman henchman.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks.
You know, we had a great Patreon last time.
We really did.
We did.
People were going apeshit about it in the comments.
Oh,
They were going fucking
full on
nuts.
discussion.
That's an extra show per week, folks, on the Patreon, $5 a month. Support the program if you like it.
Yeah.
If you like it. Follow us on, of course, Instagram, Profiles in Eccentricity, PP Podcast on Twitter. And
If you want to find out how John got that Shiner Bach,
Yeah. Listen to the.
oh yeah, we're
Patreon.
on YouTube as well. You can see my stupid black eye on YouTube.
Yeah,
Black Eye.
not for a few weeks when this one goes up.
Yeah, but later
Later, you can see what we used to look
you
like.
can jack or Jill off to it, to my pain, my suffering.
Hi, Jill.
Yeah.
I jacked my Jill.
You know, we were listening to the Gap Band the other day,
Mm.
and so one of their songs, they do this. It goes. So the Gap Band does "You Drop the Bomb on Me"
Early in the
and
morning.
Gotta get up early. They were in weird cowboy.
Oh, the
shit.
videos are incredible. Matt, you got to watch these videos.
Okay.
They're like, it's like, when they have like cowboy shit with all the frills. Aaron said they look like Don Cheadle and Boogie Nights.
Oh,
Dude,
very
these
nice.
Gap looks like some dude's uncle and Andre 3000, and they're just playing like this funky. They're playing funk music.
They're brothers. And it was like, Gap was like something like Getty Avenue, like something like that. It was a longer name. Then they just made it the Gap Band.
Oh, that makes sense.
But there was, I think,
You can only fit so much on a sleeve.
the core like nucleus of it was these three brothers.
Yeah.
And so, like, they're very much front and center.
Yeah.
And they're always dressed insane. There's like almost like those Instagram filter effects on what he's doing. And they
like for the videos, like the early music video effects of just like tracers.
Oh, yes.
and they
Can you,
very much act out the
Is that better? Were you not getting me at all?
no, we got you.
no, I was
good.
getting you.
Hey, great.
They very much act out the lyrics and stuff.
Yeah.
Very much like pointing at the
Yes,
camera.
yes.
You're
of course.
gonna see.
Yeah, yeah, they
Yeah,
point to their eyes.
But they got a fucking song. Oh God, what is it? It's another one that they're like. It's a hit song. I forget what it is, but it's go. Jack and Jill went up the hill to have a little fun.
Oh.
Stupid Jill forgot the bill, and now they have a son.
Oh, God.
Like,
that's
what did
classic.
you put this in there for?
Well, it's when was it?
Call her stupid.
When was this made?
They're
1980.
Okay, so this is
1978.
this is prime. These are the breaks type. That's you know.
It was,
Bring it up, bring it up, bring it up.
I would guess right around 80.
Oh God, I wonder what that song was. Just
I mean, Jack and Jill's already. It's just begging to be.
All right, well, let's get into this profile.
Okay,
Matt, you got something for us.
I got some shit.
You got some fucking shit?
Yeah. This is a fantastic magazine article from Atavist magazine. Tony.
what magazine?
Atavist.
Atavist.
Yeah.
How do you spell that?
ATAVIST.
Yeah.
Atavist.
Atavist.
What, does that mean anything? I don't know the word.
Yeah, probably.
Do you want the exact meaning?
Yeah, I don't know what.
I'm not doing a story on the meaning of the magazine, so I didn't
Well,
look
I
that
wa-
up.
I mean-
I know he wants to derail you straight out the fucking gate.
What is an atavist?
It's probably about like
Well, I thought maybe you guys knew it.
profiles or human nature.
I thought you guys would have the answer. Sorry,
No, I know the word.
I don't.
The recurrence in a plant or animal of certain primitive characteristics that were present in an ancestor but have not occurred in intermediate generations.
So history.
Right,
No,
yeah.
Present in an ancestor, but has not appeared in.
Yes, but it recurs later in a descendant.
Okay.
Yes.
Like how big dicks gets a generation.
But
Yeah.
usually. It skips the daughter's generation.
Maybe you, bro.
You have to skip over my dick. Watch out.
Jump rope.
So this mostly comes from his article, and I'm not going to read the title just yet because I don't want to give that part away, because it's a very important part of the story. But in some Time magazine and New York Times articles that eventually appeared about this guy. He's born Herman Marx. That was his name his entire life. In 1921, Milwaukee.
Nice.
Shoddy brick houses and bare streets. That was the type of place. He grew up in Milwaukee. Not exactly a happening spot.
Shiny brick houses and bare streets.
Shoddy.
Shoddy. Oh,
Yeah.
I thought shiny brick.
Yeah.
Because we all can't live in Egypt.
Yeah.
He had two sisters. He was not close with them. He was a mother he was devoted to, and he also had an unemployed alcoholic father who beat him and probably everybody.
And this was in the what year? What era?
1921.
21.
Oh,
When he was born.
gosh damn.
1933, the Great Depression hits. His parents are divorced, or they get divorced. His mother remarries, and he starts acting up. Around this time,
Marx.
Herman Marx.
Herman.
Yes. He starts skipping school. He was then expelled and sent to a reformatory school, constantly trying to escape from there.
Starting like Panzram.
Yeah.
Midwest, too.
Uh-oh.
A psychologist there at the school describes him as, quote, a very stolid, emotionless person when not excited, who shows almost a lack of adequate feeling in respect to situations he finds himself in. So
Maybe
strong...
somewhat on the spectrum, perhaps.
I think he's just becoming like a nice cold motherfucker.
Yeah, the spectrum back then is like good or bad.
Yeah, well, looking at it through a modern, progressive lens with the empathy of a modern person.
I don't think he's on the spectrum. I think he's just beaten a lot.
Yeah, you'll beat somebody into the spectrum.
You'll find
I'll
other
show you.
descriptions of him that will really kind of settle.
All right, cool, man.
But 1938, so he's about 17 now. He successfully escapes from the school, starts traveling the country. He's working in factories, docks, ranches. He never stays anywhere more than 3 months.
Oh.
And that's all we know about him from this time. 1939, though, next year, he joins the... Makes a mess.
Oh, come on. First time?
I'm having fun. Sorry.
He's trying to derail everything. You said it's about me, and I'm saying about you.
I know. It's very adult of you.
I'm on the spectrum.
39, age 18, he joins the Merchant Marines, and he serves in the Pacific. He's arrested often out there in Australia and other places. Yes.
For what?
They don't say.
Just he's arrested off.
He's just arrested.
Acting up.
Yeah. Acting up, yeah. After the war, he returns to the United States to continue to be arrested places. In
I gotta go home. I gotta get arrested up there.
Exactly.
3 odds in the cot.
The sheriff's going to wonder where I'm at. I think they're worried sick. These police blotters not going to have anything to write.
And so Texas, vagrancy. Ohio, North Dakota, public drunkenness. New York City, attempted grand larceny. Vegas, prowling. Los Angeles, he robs and assaults an old lady, and he steals like 28 cents of like hair bobby pins off of her or something. Just like, just nothing.
I like prowling, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's like there was so many ways to get arrested for just hanging out. Vagrancy would be like just like you don't have ID on you.
You are loitering.
Yeah. When Silver Lake was more gay, you would see signs, no cruising.
Yeah.
Right.
What how do you know I'm cruising?
Well, when the cop's dick is in your mouth,
Well,
that's
I think the cruising signs that they have, I mean...
They weren't illegal, but they were encouraging.
Right. I think that I know the cruising signs in Pasadena are about just driving up and down the same street.
Oh, I think in Silver Lake, it was cruising was...
cruising.
It's cruising.
Tom cruising. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, always be cruising. ABC, babe.
The last one, the assault of the old lady, that sent him to jail for 6 months. While he's there, he and a couple inmates escape. They make it all the way to Galveston before they're caught and sent back to California. At some point during the escape, him and the guys jumped off some high height and destroyed their ankles. Managed to keep running.
Oh God! Oh God!
No. So now during his travels, do you picture him, or is he just like riding the rails? Is he just vagabonding with a stick and a and a handkerchief bag.
That would probably be just the case. I would imagine. Train.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe hop in the train, but I imagine around that time, it's after World War II.
People have cars.
He's probably maybe
Taking a bus.
It could be some things where the cops drive him to the edge of town.
Yeah.
Or
Free ride.
yeah,
Thanks, fellas.
yeah, hitchhiking, probably bus. I'd say most
People don't know what's gonna hit them, man. And I'm gonna prowl, cruise.
Proud the hell out of shit.
And I'm gonna tell him you sent me.
Yeah.
So then there's this it's well, the timelines don't quite match up, but there's a Time magazine article from 1959 that says in 46 he was arrested and escaped from an Ohio penitentiary. In 1850 he escapes from a California industrial farm. Paratet in his article has slightly different years, but I think that mostly stands.
At a California industrial farm.
Yeah, basically a work farm.
Okay, and
So he's arrested and
sent to work.
Get your ass to work.
Yeah. After the industrial farm in 50, he escapes there and he returns to Milwaukee. Starts living with his mother and her third husband now.
Oh.
He loves his mother.
Yes, and so they all lived together until one day Marx started fighting his third father and picked him up and literally threw him out of the house.
Like DJ Jazzy Jeff? I love that Uncle Phil could throw DJ Jazzy Jeff out of the Bel Air mansion.
Well, this guy was fucking doing it with his stepdad. Probably some guy named Gary. He's fucking plowing his mom. It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Nobody
love my
plows my mom. Except me.
Oh no.
Marx was fined $5 for this
By who?
by the police.
For throwing his father out of the house.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the father came back.
Stepfather.
Well, he tried to. Eventually, he didn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
His mother said, at this time he would buy her bouquets of flowers anytime he had some money, but usually spent all of his money on girls and booze.
Like hookers?
No, like meeting women at bars.
Oh, all right.
Just,
Well, that's
buying drinks.
all right.
Yeah.
It's nice.
But he was kind of not really welcome in the rest of the family. His niece said that whenever he came over, he wasn't really allowed in the house.
Outside's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe just prowl.
Do that prowling you love so loiter outside the house.
Yeah. He was. They called him a boogeyman, and the rest of the family, quote, weren't allowed to have anything to do with him.
Yeah.
So I think that the rest of so his mother thought, well, she would later say, I raised him. I don't know what happened to him. But you could see that even around this time, people are going, I don't know about this.
I'm a bogeyman.
He's kind of a Herman.
Monster.
So, around this time, he's in Milwaukee. He's working as a stable hand and attending nightly, quote, drinking and sex parties in a barn.
Shit.
Drinking and sex parties in a barn?
Yeah.
Are humans present?
Yes.
He's not fucking pigs, right?
No.
Hey,
At least not.
These
At least it's
are
not
fine
documented.
upstanding young women, John.
That's terrible.
Please.
That's terrible.
When you said that he's kind of a Herman, I thought you were saying that it was like a. I thought that was like a way to
German?
get around saying trans.
Oh.
Herman.
Oh, God.
Well, it wasn't. I admire your imagination.
I know. No, keep bringing us into these alleys. This is good.
No.
No, there's no alleys.
We're going to tease this one out.
Herman.
In an alley? Oh, God.
How about a barn?
So, so he's enjoying these parties, and one night he meets a girl at a bar, and he brings her there. And not long after that, he's arrested and convicted of what they call back then, carnal knowledge with a 16-year-old who...
Damn it.
That girl was 16, apparently. Time magazine called it the rape of a 17-year-old. So,
What? What are you laughing at?
Well, like it's like he fucked her so good she turned 17.
Jesus Christ. Feel different. Older.
You know how the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes? I feel that way.
He was sentenced to 3.5 years.
Oh, God.
And he exited this prison in 1955.
He did serve his time?
He did serve his time this time.
No escapes this time, Jack.
The prison psychiatrist described Marx as narcissistic in his makeup and amoral rather than immoral. Which
It's got screw loose.
it was the first time I thought I'd never really heard the phrase, but I think it's a very important distinction.
Agreed.
Between
Elaborate.
well, see, immoral is usually
Evil.
Yeah, well, there's some sort of sense of good and bad.
An agency there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amoral is like more.
I don't know. What are you saying? I don't know. Good.
Bordering on some sort of pathology.
Yeah. In Time magazine article later, the warden also described him as, quote, a real stinker.
Jesus.
Which is oh, you mean this maniac?
Might he have been a pee-pee drinker?
This guy really bummed me out.
He said he
He
was
smelled like shit.
he was always trying to not work, and it really just put a grind into their.
He was always trying. He was working at not working.
Yeah, and they're like, "You guys got to do prison work," and he's like, "Oh," and you're like, "Oh, now, nobody's gonna work today." So at this point, in the last 2 decades, he was arrested 32 times in 10 states.
Is it Marx? You say he didn't want to work. Was it M-A-R-X or M-A-R-K-S?
A little different.
M-A-R-K-S?
Okay. So in 2 decades, he'd been arrested 32 times, as far as they know. Probably more that were just like, arrest. They pick him up and they throw him somewhere. 10 states. He then, after he's let out in 55, he returns to his mother, and then one day he just kisses her on the forehead and he leaves. He doesn't say where he's going.
And he's how old now? About?
So it's 55. He was born in 21.
34?
Yeah, approximately.
Approx.
Now, 2 years later, he's in 1957. He's working on a shrimp boat in Florida. And he runs into a couple of guys that he knew as a merchant marine. And they were Cubans. And he finds out that later, that same year, he finds out that one of them was murdered by Batista's military forces.
Oh.
They just stormed into the guy's house and just shot him.
Jesus.
And so, after hearing that, Marx goes to an army surplus store. He buys some boots and fatigues, takes his remaining $400 in a Colt 45, hops on a boat, and takes it to Cuba. He wanted to join the Cuban Revolution.
Holy shit.
Marxist.
And, oh God. And he was just friends with this guy, and he was outraged that he was murdered by Batista's forces.
Yeah.
Who knows if they were even friends? He just like heard the story on one boat trip and was like, I'm changing everything I'm doing.
Right, exactly.
But I'm amoral, so was that bad? Because sex with a 16-year-old feels good. I'm not trying to get my head around this whole thing.
I stopped when she turned 17.
Oh, God.
Didn't feel as good.
Oh, my God. Okay, all right. So, and do we know, was the friend in the Cuban Revolution? Was that why Batista's forces killed him, I'm assuming?
Well, Batista's forces killed a lot of people.
They did. It just under suspicion. They would round people up and just be like,
Yes.
you probably know where they are.
So he might have been. I mean, odds are if he had been in the Merchant Marines at some point, he probably was.
But this is pretty early Cuban Revolutionary time.
Right, so it's 57, yeah.
Yeah.
This is...
I think that Grandma landed in 57.
Okay, yeah. And, I mean, Castro, he's building up support.
Yes.
At this point. Now, so he goes to Havana, Marx goes to Havana, and he can't find any...
He goes to where?
Havana.
Havana, got it.
And he can't find any agents there, or if he did, they didn't tell him. And he takes a bus into the foothills, and he runs into a couple of young Cubans who are also looking to join, and together they hike for 3 nights until they reach a rebel outpost. And over the course of the Cuban Revolution, there would be about 24 what they called Yankees.
Yeah.
That would join. So, he wasn't the only one. He wasn't even the most famous one eventually. That would be William Morgan, who we'll briefly touch on later. So his main job there was fixing the rebel firearms, and at one point some kids were in the street trying to figure out how to make it work, and he walked over and he broke it down and showed them how to do it. And as this happened, crowd gathered, and they're like, "Oh, this Yankee, he's good with the guns." And so he gained a little bit of fame, and then they assigned him to Che's unit. Che Guevara, of course.
Yes. Doctor.
Of the T-shirt fame.
Yes.
From
merchandise.
He rages, yes. Okay.
And his book about motorcycles.
Yes.
That's right.
And he becomes a captain under Che, and he's sent to establish a military school and train recruits to fight Batista's invasion. So Batista has this invasion called Operation Finish Fidel, which...
Wow, good code name.
Really? I mean, it sounds better in Spanish, I imagine. You tell me.
What is it?
I don't know.
You're the Spaniard.
Well, there's different ways of it. You can translate Finish Fidel into like 4 different. Well,
maybe they chose the one that sounded good.
yeah, maybe some alliterative aspects to it.
He can't stop being helpful tonight, can he?
Well, I don't know. There's different ways you can say it.
Fucking asshole.
John, please.
I'm sorry.
Now you're becoming amoral.
Union against thought is what we have here. I'll stand for it.
So this was supposed to be Batista's big push to, be like...
Finish Fidel, yeah.
Yes. And they were going to invade the Sierra Maestra, and where there's belief that, a lot of the forces were...
that's where they were holed up, yeah.
And the guerrillas... as they were known, were outnumbered 100 to 1. But they're guerrillas, and
yeah, you got the high ground. You got the locals that know the terrain.
Yes, who are also are favorable to you.
Oh, they are. Yes, they are. Yeah, but because Batista was just rounding them up, like just on the street nearby,
creating more rebels.
And would just fucking execute a line of people. Like just shoot everybody.
Yeah. So Marx, at one point, he leads 18 rebels in ambushes and disables a 250-man convoy. And then he falls over and he breaks 3 teeth on a rock. A real excitable guy.
He's just an excitable guy.
But so Castro's forces pushed Batista back, and as they're retreating, Che plans this 350-mile march, take a small force from the Sierra Maestra to the central Cuban mountains. Basically, the plan was to cut the island in half.
Mm-hmm.
And Che warned people would volunteer. Che warned that the conditions would be miserable, food short, and casualties likely close to 50%.
God damn it!
This is gonna suck, guys.
Mark signed up anyway.
Yeah,
of course he did.
Sounds like just another day riding the rails, Che. I don't mind. Actually, he's from the Midwest, so he's probably like, oh, God.
Yeah, he would.
Oh, wow.
Instead of that, he would say that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow, the mountains sure are pretty here. You Mexican folks sure are nice. Let me fight for your Yankees. I always wanted to play on the Yankees.
Here's my fucking friend Che Guevara over here. He's a doctor, you believe that? And he fixed your bike, no problem.
Well, you got a face for a t-shirt, pal.
So this was just an absolutely brutal, hellish march for everybody involved. And Che, at one point, he would write to Castro, and all these guys. There wasn't anyone to fight. They were just the conditions. They were getting sick. They were, they were fording rivers. They were marching through just inhospitable terrain.
The shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All this fucking shit you're walking through. And,
yeah, it's like, if
mosquitoes.
Batista's going, well, no one's going to take this place because they have to do this insane thing. So
it's that kind of place.
Yeah. And so Che writes to Castro, and he writes, hunger, thirst, weariness, and the feeling of impotence against the enemy forces that were increasingly closing in on us, and above all, the terrible foot disease that the peasants called mazamorra, which turned each step our soldiers took into an intolerable torment, had made us an army of shadows.
Army of Shadows, nice.
Yeah.
Would you say it's like trench foot music?
Yes. And and then they all got these really cool beards out of it too.
Yeah.
Castro kept his, never did the march.
Fucking smoking his cigars.
He's a lawyer. I mean, what do you want? And in Che Guevara, Revolutionary Life, John Lee Anderson, he writes, that's the book that Peralta discovered Marx, who's just a footnote in the book.
Mm-hmm. He said, this guy must be nuts.
But he's this footnote. Che said Marx was good at training his men, but he just, quote, fundamentally didn't fit in the group. And one of Che's assistants, another man, described Marx as, quote, brave and crazy in combat, tyrannical and arbitrary in the peace of camp.
Tyrannical and arbitrary in the peace of camp.
In the peace of camp.
Everything's too quiet here. Vasquez, shut up. Marquez, get over here.
Yeah.
Put out.
I wonder if
Pinche Yankee.
that's one of the ones I read. I read his the Che's own account of the revolutionary.
Yeah.
I think it's called like Episodes from the Cuban Revolution or something like that. That's very, very good. Thrilling.
Yeah.
They show up on a boat and then they end up in Havana. You know what I mean?
Yeah. First they show up they're on a boat and they end up in Mexico, and then they get back on a boat and they end up in.
And the boat's all fucked up. But then I read one more too. That was a biography of him, and I'm not sure.
It might have been Anderson. I think that's pretty much the go-to one for Che. But this guy Marx he's just mentioned as just a guy that was part of this group.
So tyrannical and arbitrary. How are we figuring out what that means?
That means a guy who's just
a guy who just storms in yelling at people for no reason as soon as he gets there.
Yeah, he's just a fucking pain in the ass. And you're like, dude, like, you're not even from here.
Yeah, you think you can storm in here with your fancy Marx's name? Yeah, we know what's going on here.
And Marx barely spoke any Spanish at all.
Oh yeah.
So like he's just yelling at him in English, and they're like, should we even pretend like we know what he's saying? He's like, I'm your captain. And you're like, oh, fuck Christ.
God.
Yeah, and
he's got a Bears hat on.
Go Bears.
A mustache and a fucking trucker jacket. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh my God, we didn't bring fucking any fucking hot dogs on the fucking Trail of Tears.
You didn't bring any of the Beast? No Milwaukee's Beast around here? Jesus fucking Christ. The Twins game is on. And you guys got one of them fancy TV radios.
It never occurred to me that this accent would be part of
this. Jesus.
Oh, Jesus. We're all out of beer already? Jesus. I'll drink my own
You guys really like the cervezas around here, huh? You guys sure are small, but fuck, man, you can put them away.
So there's the tyrannical and arbitrary in the peace of camp, and that was definitely unsettling for them. But what seemed to be the most unsettling thing was that he had a real enthusiasm for execution duty.
Execution duty?
Yeah.
To not kill him?
Yes.
Oh.
It's not so much of a duty, more as a real distinct pleasure for me, if I've got to be honest, if anybody asks.
It's my turn. You killed the last fucking two guys. What do you do? Fuck it, I don't care, or whatever. Give me the fuck.
Che's assistant described it as unseemly.
Oh, it's quite unseemly. It really is. God, geez, fuck, by golly, I love killing.
I don't care what color you are. It's all gray matter to me.
I'll be honest with you, I barely know where I am right now.
Sure, Puerto Rico sure is nice this time of year. Hey, bam!
Marxism sounds fucking good to me, pal. I'll tell you what, in my version of Marxism, there's a lot more fucking cans of beer lying around.
This is my opiate on masses, I'll tell you that. I'd use a whole lot more of it. Das Kapital.
I think we need to seize the fucking means of production over at the fucking Miller plant.
I mean, it's union made, but hey, just fucking aim a little bit higher.
The whole the group didn't mind that much when Marx he was wounded in the knee and the ankle at one point, and gangrene set in. And
oh God,
his ankle's still busted from jumping off that wall.
And then he ran on it.
So
should have ran on his knees like Gary Oldman.
You gotta listen to the Patreon.
Should have ran on his tiptoes.
You gotta listen to the Patreon.
Yeah, you gotta hear all that Patreon.
He loved prowling.
No, he did.
Tiptoes.
So Che has him sent to a town to get fixed up, and then he has him shipped from the town to a hospital. I believe there was a hospital that was in the U.S. In Florida, or somewhere around there. And
Jesus Christ, imagine that.
And so he's there to recoup. New Year's Day, 1959. Batista flees Havana, and Castro swoops in. Takes control of Cuba. Marx is in a Key West hospital.
Oh,
Swinger parties, topless shit.
fucking Margaritaville. Jesus Christ. I think I went too far.
Is that a Spanish word, Che? I don't know. You tell me. It seems pretty American to me. This chick's got elephants painted on her nipples. You ever see that? Down there in Havana?
Hey, Mr. Guevara, you ever seen anything like this, Doc?
Doc, something's wrong with her breasts. Take a closer look.
Jesus Christ, I got a fucking margarita in my hand, a parrot on my shoulder.
I feel like my fucking cock's gonna explode.
I'm a fucking parrot head. The women are all fucking chicken heads.
Fucking the throat goat's in office.
Not yet.
Not yet.
So Marx, upon hearing that Castro's taken over, he hobbles down to a ferry, and he rides it to Havana. And you know, one thing Castro did promise is that, you know, the revolutionaries, they would get their piece of the pie. So Marx is probably thinking, one, boy, do I love killing folks, and two, maybe I get some piece of that pie.
Yeah.
And he shows up in Havana, and he goes to La Cabana, which is a military fortress the Spanish created, and you know, Che has some of his forces there, and Che gives him some fatigues and a beret, and appoints him the head of security at La Cabana. And then
No cigar or sunglasses?
well, maybe, you know, not for him. I mean, he would grow a beard, of course, if he didn't already have
A 30-pack of Keystones?
And then that month in January 1959, the trials begin.
He's like, sign me up for it.
And these are the trials
Execution.
where Castro would put all of Batista's folks on trial. And he wanted to, he had this idea about making it okay, you know,
it's
for the
cool.
West.
Yeah.
And so he made them these big public trials. And so, of course, the American journalists go down there and they go, what a travesty. What a barbaric thing. Because there would be crowds, and the crowds would be yelling for these people. They're like, kill him, kill him.
Yeah.
And
Did the same thing with fucking Mussolini in Italy.
yeah. And of course, but all of the American journalists are going, this place, can you believe it?
Yeah. I mean, could you believe it when they were fucking lining up people in the street and executing them?
Yeah, but they let us have our casinos and hotels
you know, yeah.
and our mafia.
Yeah.
And so Marx would take part of these trials in his own unique way, which I will describe.
Your Honor, Exhibit A is I love to fucking shoot Mexicans in the head. Exhibit B, well, because I said so.
All right.
Objection.
All right. I'll take some questions now. Chicago Tribune, I see you over there. What do you think, fella?
How are the Bears doing?
How do you like that? Jesus Christ.
Mark, yeah, nice to see you.
Let's take a quick little break.
Sure.
Take a quick little break and then we'll get into the trials and the tribulations, possibly.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Jacking and the Jillian.
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back, folks. And we're back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me ask you something. So this is what I'm curious about right now. Aaron, I don't know if this has been running through your head, too. Is he, like, itchy to kill because he's probably killed some people before? Because, like I said, a lot of the trajectory is very Karl Panzram-y.
Yes.
The vagrancy, the prison escapes, the little tours abroad in with the military and stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of
He got the taste of blood.
and the you know, very much the era where fucking you leave town.
You cross state lines.
That's the end.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
Oh, here's your paper driver's license. Everything checks out, sir.
Yeah, like
Well, I mean, it's all
who's to say?
It's all speculation because he never. He would say. Well, so let me describe this next part, and then
Okay, go for it.
and then we can get into that.
He became John Wayne Gacy.
All right, good. So the trials begin in January, and they're held at La Cabana. And in less than a month, in just January, 100 of Batista's men are executed. Marx is the guy running the firing squads. And he would say, when he was interviewed, he would say he saw the job as an honor. And what he would do is he would bring the condemned man, if they did it one at a time especially, he would bring the man, there's a dry moat there, and he'd bring him into a dry moat under the floodlights. He'd unlock his handcuffs, lead him to the execution spot. He would give the orders, and then often the soldiers were poor shots.
Oh, God. Jesus fucking Christ. I got to do everything by fucking self.
Listen here, pal. None of these fucking guys have any fucking idea what they're doing. So likely you might survive. Maybe you got a couple of fucking graze wounds. But rest assured, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to take a distinct pleasure putting a fucking bullet around there.
And he did. Whether he took any pleasure in it or not, there would be rumors that he did. But those seem to be perhaps sensationalized, especially by anti-Castro people later.
Perhaps he never couldn't feel pleasure.
Yes, but I don't
understand.
He would deliver the coup de grace because often these soldiers they didn't practice the European custom of one person has a blank.
Yes, they all had bullets.
They all had bullets, and then in one case, Perrotet writes, the guy who was about to be executed pulled out a cross, and he cursed everybody shooting, and so they all missed.
Shit.
And so then
we all had blanks.
And then Marx had to go over, and Marx shot the guy.
Like with a revolver, like up close? Yeah. Holy shit.
Yes. And that's how he delivered the coup. So Marx would say this was an honor, and he would say that he's the one. This happened underneath this giant cross or a statue of Jesus, not like the Brazilian one, but
Why even have these guys show up?
Which guys?
The fucking firing squad.
Well, it's good for morale.
It's exhausting.
I think it's just kind of it's more of the ceremony.
Team building.
Oh, certainly.
It's like a trust fall for revolutions.
Well, I mean, just
hey, remember when we all maybe killed that guy? You had the blank. No, you did.
It's a trust shoot. Yeah.
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 There's a story, a supplemental on our next Patreon about firing squads, and because in the U.S. in some states they still have, or they went back to firing
it's all
squads
volunteer.
now. And these people are a little shook up by it.
The firing squad people.
Yes.
Yeah, because
I should
now
have
it's
never got into this business. What do you mean they're shook up by it?
Well, I'll talk about it.
Okay, later, yeah.
Occupation? Occupation? Firing squad member?
Can't believe I went to community college for this.
I can't believe I went to 6 weeks of night school for this.
Learn about the soul.
I'm going back to operating shoddy equipment at a carnival.
I hope I miss and my vagrant boss comes up and just finishes the job. Jesus Christ, were you fellas fucking aiming at all? What the fuck happened here? He's all fucking... He's like a
He's
fucking
fine.
Guys, this is an execution, or are we helping this man? Come on. Yeah. Pick yourself up, buddy. I'm going to shoot you in the face now.
Don't you worry about a thing, pal. Daddy's got the fucking medicine.
You see that Jesus with the arms open? That was my idea.
That cross thing was pretty fucking good, pal. We're not vampires, you know?
That's for fucking sure. Sleep easy, pal. Rest in peace.
You're right, P-tyke.
Yeah, my breath smells like garlic for a reason, pal. So Marx would
Pasta.
say when he was interviewed about this, he would say for him it was
Great honor.
It was a great honor, and he was doing his part to make sure that these were handled in a good manner,
which they obviously were not.
And
hire better people.
Everybody's shooting higher.
They say if you want a job done right, do it yourself. So what I do is I hire the most incompetent fucking blind shots in all of the fucking island.
Yeah.
And I come in and I do it myself. I do it myself.
Well, we executed about 39 fellows today, and the firing squad, they probably got one, and I did about the rest.
They hit me right here, if you see it. So yeah, there's a workplace hazard, you could say. Yeah.
Someone was surprised I wasn't angry at them, and I was like, I don't know anger.
I couldn't even feel it. Honestly.
One of them fucking nipped me in the ankle. I was like, of all the fucking places, Jesus.
Good thing it's dead already. It's fucking can't feel shit here.
They really actually added to it.
What's the opposite of an Achilles heel?
By March, Marx had executed carried out 200 executions, including one night 11 men one night. And when the floodlights failed, they just had the
Candles.
They had the jeeps turn their headlights on.
I'm not done yet.
So it was a very scenic time. But also,
God, what a fucking nightmare.
So around this time, it was kind of this like twilight revolution type thing where Castro hadn't
proclaimed socialism.
Well, no, he hadn't started taking over the sugar fields and turning those over.
Yeah.
And this revolutionary spirit was in the air, and the American expats and all of these writers would go down there and be like, what an amazing time it is to be here.
Yeah.
I feel like Hemingway would have went.
So Hemingway, a lot of so
Peels himself off the couch in Key West.
Is there rum there? I'm getting the next Pepsi raft over.
I'm bringing 10 cats with me in.
But so these especially for
Really
the American
good cats, really good
a lot of
cats.
American artists would show up in Hemingway. Hemingway was a pretty regular around that area anyway. But guys like Plimpton and Errol Morris and Tennessee Williams. At one point Tennessee Williams shows up and they were walking through trying to have a meeting with Castro and no one knew who he was and until someone in Castro's retinue recognized him, and Castro was in a meeting and Castro immediately stopped the cabinet meeting so he could talk to Tennessee Williams. And he told him that he loved his work, and
Was he the Glass Menagerie? Was that Tennessee Williams?
Cat in a Hot Tin Roof, which. So Castro says to him something to the effect of, God damn, I can't find it now. Where he's like, I really like your work, especially the one on the cat on the burning roof.
I hate cats. When I was a child, I put a cat on the roof.
That fucking parrot head over there, you can't get enough of him. Fucking Ernest Hemingway's got fucking 45 cats on the property. Sick fuck.
And he's holding his lighter right up on the ceiling. That roof is hot as the Jesus, I'll tell you. And then the cats are fucking meowing and growling.
So, but George Plimpton goes down there, and Hemingway says to him, he says, it was important for a writer to get around to see just about anything, especially the excesses of human behavior. And so Hemingway takes Plimpton to one of these executions, and he brings him and Plimpton. He makes a couple of shakers full of drinks for them to drink, and they sit in the stands and watch the execution.
Wow.
And that's
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, back to the Coliseum.
Was it?
That's how he calls him like a season man.
Oh, is it Errol Flynn, not Errol Morris? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Errol Morris. Errol Flynn was not a writer; he was an actor.
He was an actor. Yes,
He played fucking Peter Pan or Robin Hood. Robin Hood. Errol Flynn was Robin Hood.
Yeah, and so at one point, Errol Flynn was down there, and Marx started to become slightly famous because around this time, his story was being published in America, and he's published in the New York Times, and he's published in the Milwaukee Journal.
His story is published,
and no one's asking him. They just say, "So what brought you here?" And he's like, "Oh, I was just working in the United States and found my way down here."
Doesn't bring up his friend getting shot, any of that shit.
He might have, but he doesn't bring up the arrests and the illegal activity.
Listen, I'm a simple fucking cheesehead, okay?
Come
fucking
on.
go back,
I got tired of getting locked up and running out in the fucking States, so I went down fucking 90 miles off the Keys and, chopped it up a little bit and joined the revolution. Viva Castro. Viva el Comandante. Plus some Marx.
And so,
These guys think I wrote the fucking book.
So because of this Marx is he's becoming a little bit of a famous figure in Havana, and he meets a lady, a journalist and a former model and a photographer.
Oh shit!
Named Jean Second.
Jean Second?
That's how Tony Perrottet pronounces it. In the article when I listened to it the first time, the reader pronounced it Gene Seekin.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
So that's probably how Marx pronounced it, because he's from the Midwest.
Gene Seekin, pleasure to meet you. Look at this firing squad. They can't shoot for shit, huh? Jesus
Bonjour,
Christ.
Gene Seekin. Bienvenue a Castroville.
These guys could be firing fucking cannons. They still wouldn't hit shit.
The best island in all of Mexico. Welcome.
So Marx he gets prime seating at like the nice restaurants. And so in these moments he meets some of these famous actors and writers and they're not necessarily going down to meet him specifically, but when they do meet him, they're like, ooh. And there's this one story where him and Errol Flynn invites him back to his apartment where Errol Flynn and his 16-year-old girlfriend are living. Mm-hmm. And they just spend the whole night like talking and like
Errol Flynn and his 16-year-old girlfriend are living.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's different in Milwaukee, okay?
Yeah. There was, it's interesting.
It's called carnal knowledge in Milwaukee.
This era of, what you said, the revolutionary twilight. Because I think some of these people going down there thinking it's a more egalitarian version of what came before.
Yes. Yes.
And not,
Maybe we can all take part in the debauchery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also want to, kind of like the speed with which, you get people to go along with these sweeping changes. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Well, part of that, that's everything building up to the actual revolution is getting people on board with those sweeping changes.
Right, but then if you're a fucking peasant out in the mountains and then you see that like, oh, fuck, they still have fancy restaurants in Havana I can't go to. You know what I'm saying? You're kind of going to be like, hey, I thought we were doing the whole, revolution thing. But also, I could see Castro kind of wanting to revel in it on the international stage a little bit. And the U.S.'s position in it is pretty funny because it was clearly such a popular revolution that at first the United States almost took a little bit of this position of like, oh, well, we wanted them to win.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You remember that?
Well, it was supposed to be like, it was supposed to almost mimic these free peoples were held under the thumb.
Yeah, the same thing in Vietnam. Yeah. The guy was like, if anybody gets it, it's the United States, right? Yes. But, really the truth is that America liked it being their dirty little playground.
Yes.
And, fucking, like we said before, Batista couldn't go into some of the clubs Nixon could go into because he was part black.
Yeah.
Straight up, super racist shit like that was just like the law.
Hair too curly.
Yeah. But, it's a very interesting time. I think probably before they go full scale communist and no private property and stuff, there's an interesting little window.
Before they move into some sort of the stricter policies. Yes. Mm-hmm. Where the expats, the Americans are still happily allowed and they're still in this revolutionary spirit and they don't have to do anything other than show up and spend money and it's
I think I wonder how open, because Castro had relationships with people from America, always loved Americans, but I think obviously it was Bay of Pigs where you just go in fucking balls to the wall and then you're like, oh, okay, they're fucking trying to fucking throw a very popular revolution, and then you just, you go fucking whole hog in with the USSR.
Whole hog with the Bay of Pigs. And then the X-Men fucking come in and save the whole fucking day.
And so there was a sort of fascination with Marx and as he gained some of this stature, he would well, I guess he would grow into it in a way. Like he would,
he's kind of Lord High Executioner.
He would invite when he met these Americans, he would invite them to witness the executions, and he started wearing a bandolier of the spent shells from the executions.
Dude, that is nice.
You just imagine this amoral guy who is now he's not amoral about celebrity.
No,
he's enjoying that. That
feels good.
Yeah.
So I'm not. Is that okay?
Yes.
There's no morality to pleasure.
Yes.
It's a pleasure principle.
But that's like some shit from like, you know, like fucking General Butt Naked or something would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, wearing like ears.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing
This
to
shell
say,
right, this fucking shell right here.
Let me tell you, if I wear every fucking shell these fucking guys wasted,
You know, fucking all these island kids have fucking shells around their necklace. Why can't I have shells on mine?
I'd be buried in the fucking sand.
yeah, I mean, it's one thing to say, you know, I'm just making sure that the executions are done correctly. It's another thing to then parade the shell casings used in that.
Oh yeah, because you know there was also like, you know, the thing of the executioner used to wear the mask
Yes.
to not have the shame.
Right.
And so that you can go about and live your life.
Yes, and then remember we had the thing too about the swift guillotine of the Nazi regime. The guy who fucking said he shouldn't have to pay speeding tickets as he sped from one execution to the next, and you know, created what he thought was a more humane form of the guillotine. You know, fucking. I mean, it's smaller, it's swifter. I mean, fucking Jesus.
I mean, Jesus Christ. You know, things seem to be good, but you know, these cracks were showing. You know, there's this one, the article by Parrott that opens with the story of Plimpton and these other people. Kenneth Tynan, who's this British theater critic, and his wife Elaine Dudley, who I believe was an actor. I remember Tennessee Williams is with her, and they're out to dinner, and they run into Marx, and he invites them, and he's like, "Come on down and see the executions." And Tynan just berates him and calls him a monster, and it's just.
Have you ever seen Shakespeare at the Globe Theatre? You swine!
Yes, I mean.
Inviting me to an execution. Oh, yes, execution sounds great. I say, this is transcendent.
So Marx kind of, you know, he's like, oh, okay, whatever.
It's your funeral, pal.
But as his profile grows, he gets more recognition in the United States. A journalist from Milwaukee, you know, he originally did that story where he doesn't dig into them all, and this time now. His picture runs in the Milwaukee Journal with a glowing article about him.
And people are like, I know that motherfucker.
And so John Burke, his old warden at the penitentiary, goes,
He stinks.
He goes, hey, he writes to the Journal. He says, maybe you should look into his history. And then so once the newspaper discovers there's a scandalous history of this guy, they're like, no, well, here's 12 more articles we could publish on this thing. And then his picture appears in the New York Times Magazine. The New York Times writes about him under the headline, "Executioner is ex-convict." And the writer in the article, he writes about the execution process. He calls it, quote, "a mechanical, cold-blooded, business-like procedure for Marx, like a butcher killing cattle in an abattoir," or the slaughterhouse. It's like you fish in a barrel type.
Yeah.
And then they discovered his Cuban nickname, which was El Carnicero, the butcher.
Oof, moron.
And his nickname and the name of the article, the title of the article is The Butcher of Havana. And it's not a good nickname, but it is a good nickname.
You never want to be the butcher.
No.
Ever.
No.
Unless you work at a butcher shop.
Then you're a meat monger.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's not.
I mean, just because I would fuck in a barn doesn't make me a butcher.
Carnal knowledge.
I was beating meat up there in Milwaukee, but
The butcher is not, man, that's not where you want to be. Like small goals, never be called the butcher.
yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you are one. Like, yeah, that's fine, I guess. Yikes.
So
It's such a strong word.
It is.
Butcher. Barely know her.
Yeah. Butcher of Baghdad. There was a butcher in
Butcher of Bakersfield.
the mafia.
Bill the Butcher.
that's right.
There's a guy known as the Butcher in the IRA.
Sam the Butcher from the Brady Bunch.
It's not.
Alice. Sam
yes,
was a butcher.
You know, I'm sure when that's over there, it's kind of cute or something because like you're all revolutionaries.
Well,
or
it's
something.
probably cute at first, but it's quickly uncute,
Yeah.
especially when you meet the man.
Meet the man, the butcher.
Yeah. I mean,
one of the descriptions of him was he was 5'10" with thick brown hair and, in the words of his draft card, a ruddy complexion. That's from Paratet. An English journalist later described him as tall, straight, and meanly friendly, with striking blue eyes that, yellowing after only a few beers, suggested company dangerous to keep when drunk.
Whoa.
He pronounced that as dat and dropped his G's.
That fucking thing. That fucking thing.
That fucking, come on, guy.
Hey.
Oh, God. Jesus fucking Christ. You know, I put down about 12 fellas just an hour ago.
That fucking guy right there. He used to be living. Now he's sleeping. He's resting in peace, man.
Man.
Man? No.
Oh, he's still talking like Scarface?
Yeah, man. I'm tell you, I'm picking up the fucking accent down there.
They call me the Butcher Bee.
Hey, say hi to my little pal.
Let me tell you, this whole country's a pussy just waiting to get fucked. Right? I say.
I fucked this 16-year-old and she turned 17. Her womb was all polluted.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. Okay.
That's from Scarface 2.
Scarface
No,
2?
Scarface as well.
Okay.
Scarface 2.
It's the one with Dan Aykroyd in it. It's not as funny as the original.
Yeah. Danny DeVito's his twin. It's all fucked
come
up.
on. This is 12 movies in one.
They got a different April O'Neil.
Say hello to my little brother.
Danny DeVito.
Played by Gary Oldman.
So eventually, around this time, him and Jean Secon, they move in together. May 1959.
And is she a French journalist?
No. She's an American.
Oh, okay.
So it's probably Jean Secon.
Is it a she?
It's a lady.
Oh, cool, man. Lady journalist?
You think it's like Gene Wilder?
No, Jean.
Jean.
Jean Valjean.
Okay.
Like Jean as a male name.
As
Actually, it's a man.
Jean, I guess.
Whatever.
So May 1959, not many months into, this, it's been 5 months.
The embers are still...
it's a hot rise to the top here.
Yeah.
So Castro in May 1959, what Castro does is he does this goodwill tour of the U.S. where he shows up to the U.S. and all of these, especially the younger generation, is going, look at this revolutionary who overthrew this oppressive government, and he's welcomed in Harvard and Harlem and the United Nations. I believe Che makes a speech. So there is
notoriously long-winded. No, not Che.
Fidel, yeah.
He was
8-hour speeches.
He was a lawyer, smoked cigars. Yeah,
Chopped up, probably.
But also the thing that doesn't really get reported is everybody goes like, oh, he gave this fucking snooze-worthy speech.
I never said snooze-worthy.
No. It would be like that's how the American media would report it.
Yes.
But the thing that they wouldn't report is that all of the third world nations were like on their feet.
Yes, exactly.
Like going ape shit. Like, they loved that it was a tiny country that stood up to the U.S. when they got bullied.
Yeah.
They loved that
and they
shit.
had the backing of the Russian military.
Well, not yet.
Not yet, but it's not just standing up to they stood up to the oppressive regime of their own country.
Yes.
And I had a just to kind of what you were saying about not being a snooze fest. I had my friend's older sister. She went to she was a few years older than us in high school, and then she graduated, and then she had one of those semester at sea things, and she said that so this must have been 2000.
She's in the Navy?
No, semester at sea is where you do a college semester on a boat. Yeah. They did a road rules season of it one time.
Oh, funny!
It's a giant cruise ship, and you travel the world and you do your college.
That's fucking bananas.
Yeah,
I've never heard of this.
It's COVID now.
I did one in L.A., but it was all on land.
And now it's all online.
I do online.
I did most of my college online.
But I'm doing one about killing dudes.
They did. They went to Cuba and Castro fucking gave them a speech, and she said he talked for 8 hours and it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean the thing is too is that
I didn't understand a lot.
My feeling is there's obviously a lot of hypocrisy and of course shit that's not cool.
Is it a government?
But I always, in my head, I kind of go like, trust more the person that talks more. It seems like they're trying to actually sort things out. You know what I mean? Like fascism is jingoism.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Somebody that really wants to talk is more vulnerable. The more things they say, the more vulnerability there is.
Yes. It is showing your cards if it's not just total bullshit.
No.
And it's tough to fill 8 hours with bullshit.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Because people are
But there's also propaganda, right? And so
there's always propaganda, but, you know,
it's hard to lie for that long.
Well, I mean, 8 hours is fucking long ass time. What do you talk about for 8 hours? At some point, you're like,
I heard
I had a smoothie yesterday.
I heard like
it was great.
3 to 5, stuff like that. I didn't hear 8, but
So I fell asleep, had a very wonderful dream. And then my driver drove me, and you're just talking about your day now. You're just like, the sun, beautiful.
well, the thing is too is
What do you
that
think
like
about the sun?
there was if you took a lot of the shit that happened to him and changed it to Gaddafi would be bragging all day long about
Yes.
they sent a woman to kill me and she fell in love with me.
Yeah.
Fidel Castro really doesn't gloat or didn't gloat as
She was
much,
an American.
as much as he could have.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the fact that, you know, he did even until very late in the game before it became the Cuban Missile Crisis, and that even very close to before the missiles even showed up or were noticed by the U.S., he had a deal with the U.S. to for peace and
Yes.
Well,
yeah. I mean, that was the same thing. Ho Chi Minh too was just like, I don't fucking like, I expect you to. I want you to support me.
Yeah.
I'm
kicking out a colonial era power.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
It's just Marxism. That's the only thing that makes it a fucking. You know what I mean?
it's
Not Herman Marx.
we have this whole theory about dominoes, and you're not just falling in the right place.
Yeah, but also if the in the case of Cuba especially,
It's too close to home for.
but you're looking at here's all of these fucking CIA backed fucking dictatorships all throughout there. Like they want that for all of us.
Yeah.
Now the imperial power has become the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're just like, I hope you're this version of the U.S. like the one from children's books.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
The one that doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't want you to be the one from The Intercept.
I wonder which one it was.
So anyway, sorry.
Yes.
Continue.
So, Castro has his goodwill tour in May 1959 in the U.S. And what he does is he puts an end to the executions. And Che goes on an international tour himself. And when this happens, there's no use for this murderous, this execution-loving American. So him and some other of Che's men are transferred to just this sleepy province to do odd jobs like desegregate beaches and
Hey, you.
enforce.
Hang out.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you fucking brown guy, and you fucking have a fucking Milwaukee's beast together. I mean,
I brought 3 brown guys here, and you gonna meet with one of
you
them?
guys break bread, or I'm breaking skulls.
I notice your barbecue doesn't have any black fellas.
All right, get in here, guys.
Come on.
I'm on.
Boys, these guys are gonna spice things up. You're gonna love it.
Cuba's like Cubs. I'm a big fan of both. Go Chicago.
Cut up this trash can and turn it into a barbecue, guys. Come on, here we go.
Marx called this his place he was transferred to. He called it No Man's Land because he didn't have things
No
to
man
do.
to execute.
Yeah, and he was transferred to another place further into the countryside. He had even less to do, and eventually he runs into like some the right people, I guess, and they say we'll talk to someone to talk to someone to talk to someone. They transfer him back to Havana, and this time he's given a house and a swimming pool and a Packard.
Hey, that's a car.
That's a car, and he's his job to command infantry and run security. So now he's this Yankee is in charge of security forces in Havana, and then the Cuban government breaks up the sugar estates. And Castro's family had a large sugar estate that was also broken up, but so were all of the American sugar estates.
Problem.
And the U.S. government stops saying nice things about them. Even though diplomatically they're still being like, hey, we can figure this out.
Yeah, the real stories in the business pages.
And so when the United States starts publicly saying bad things, the Soviet Union says, we have guns, we have money. Do you want to become part of us? Mm-hmm. And so when this happens, then the communists start filling up the Cuban government. Mm. And the United States threatens to invade once they hear that the Soviet Union is involved. So in January 1960, Castro brings back the tribunals. Executions resume. Marx is made chief security officer at the prison.
He's a little tribunal, man. I'm Mexican.
I know a guy.
Jesus Christ, I never thought I'd be back in the fucking cabana. Couldn't be happier. The bitch is back, fellas. These guys know how to shoot yet? God, I hope not.
They call me the butcher. They should have called me the butcher. I mean, I tell you, the nomenclature here is all out of whack.
So, except when this happens this time, a month later, a U.S. Embassy officer arrives at the prison and he hands Marx an envelope. Marx opens it up and in it contains a certificate of loss of nationality. Marx is now
a man without a country,
no longer a U.S. citizen, and they say it was because he served in a foreign military. A thing they were totally fine with a year ago, but now. Well,
they were a revolutionary force, and then now that they're and now they're a foreign military because they're legitimized.
I am a simple executioner. I don't understand.
I was Jesus. I was 1099. I mean, what the
fuck? Well, let me tell you what happened. I'll tell you what. I'd gladly fucking be a fucking man without a country because when I was in fucking Wisconsin, I was riding the fucking rails. Now I'm over here with a swimming pool and a Packard. You know what I mean?
That's what out of country means. Pretty fucking nice.
I used to be a man in a barn. I got a swimming pool and a Packard in fucking Wisconsin. All I had was the Packers.
Nice. Very nice, Chad. Very.
I am a simple cheesehead.
Can we take a break?
We're taking a quick break.
Sure.
Be right back, folks. And we're back. So earlier you said we would maybe return to what I was saying about that, like had he killed before or something like.
Oh no, I was just was that just describing the executions? I think. I guess it's.
Well, they gave him a pool and a Packard.
Right. So
the tribunals came back.
Well, he loses his American citizenship.
Yeah, he gets the envelopes. They're like, you're not an American citizen anymore.
Yeah.
He was like,
and him and Gene, he holds a press conference.
Jesus, great idea.
He later said, I think it was not well attended. But where he says that
the butcher is speaking.
Well, he says that he was proud of fighting for the revolutionary forces, but he never gave up his U.S. citizenship. And so he still believes he's still an American citizen.
I believe.
And then, later, and this would show up later in kind of a way of anti-Castro. Castro's bad, and as Perotet writes, you have to take a look at some of the sources. There's this strong anti-Castro feeling among ex-Cubans, or I guess they're still Cubans, but the people who fled Cuba,
all the rich people.
And I mean, there's considerable gangster element.
Yes.
Yeah. All the people whose Castro's motives did not serve left, and then they started spouting their mouths.
Yeah, the people raping the country didn't.
This guy wouldn't let us rape the country anymore.
Yeah. And we couldn't even do racist stuff no more.
Well,
now everybody can rape.
There's a story, even just
that's communism.
Even just recently, where someone in Florida, they were interviewed and saying how there was this moment a few months ago when we're recording this in December 2021, where a few months ago there was this, people are uprising against the new regime in Cuba.
Yeah, no, they're not.
What?
And some guy was interviewed in Miami, and he's like, "Oh yeah, the Castros, they were terrible people." And then they looked into his genealogy, and his dad was like a murderous sheriff under Batista. And you're like, okay,
Right.
So you don't like the Castros. So Paratat, he writes, that Marx's second time at El Principe, or El Principe was this prison he went to after he was brought back, where then he did these new executions.
Got it. When you say brought back, you mean he was brought back to Havana, and then he was contracted to execute people at El Principe.
Yes.
Got it.
And Paratat writes, his time there produced a string of lurid stories. Although the veracity is difficult to establish, most retroactively spread by Miami Cubans when anti-Castro propaganda became viral in the city.
Yeah.
Cuban poet Armando Valladares, in his, quote, error-filled 1986 memoir, Against All Hope, Marx is depicted as a savage drunkard who referred to the prison as his, quote, private hunting preserve, and ordered the guards to attack inmates with chains and truncheons before stealing their possessions.
Yeah.
Valladares describes Marx's executions as gory ordeals, with the American often bringing his pet dog with him to lap up the blood of the condemned.
This is my dachshund.
An American casino worker with mob connections who was arrested for smuggling Batista henchmen out of the country wrote a book in 1963 called I Was Castro's Prisoner, which includes the chapter entitled Sadists and Perverts of El Principe.
Oh, my God.
After one inmate begged to be spared, Martino claimed Marx fired all the rounds in his pistol in the man's face, turning into a shapeless piece of meat and supposedly giving his mother a fatal heart attack when she opened his coffin at the funeral.
Oh, my God.
Holy shit, he's fucking blown to bits.
I gave her a fucking 2-for-1. I fucking killed her kid so hard she fucking died. Castro got a fucking deal that day, I tell you. Nobody ever talks about that.
Yeah, I never fucking sent an invoice for that one.
Yeah, I fucking did that one on the house gratis.
Oh, and her opening the
For the
casket.
cause,
her opening the casket. Oh, let's see what's in.
So there was a rumor that started that's what Marx, how he would give the coup de grace was he would empty his pistol into their face so that the way that they couldn't.
So he might be able to kill 2 generations of the Batistaites.
Yeah.
Empty the pistol into the face?
Yeah.
I don't think like 10 shots in the head is gonna be really.
Depends on the caliber, dude. You can Swiss cheese a face.
I'm just saying it's not a look I don't think they'd want to have.
Oh, you mean successfully Swiss cheesing a face?
Yeah, like I don't think Dr. Che Guevara is gonna be like, oh, this guy that was in my unit that's now the head of like he just blasts dudes' faces apart.
Yeah, well, it's not. It doesn't win hearts and minds.
Also, he blasts their face apart and then they mail it to his mother. It just seems like that's
and
way
then
too
the
much
dog's
work.
licking it up.
Yeah,
But it is.
And the thing is,
it's very lurid and it is sensationalist. And it's it sounds it reeks of yellow journalism.
I mean, Marx is amoral, like that. That's the type of thing where it sounds like they think he's enjoying the process.
Right. They think he's immoral.
He has no. He's just a complete sociopath. He has no feeling about it. It's just I like killing.
Everybody's always got to be like a fucking mad dog. But
maybe he does have some feeling. I don't know.
The peasants, that talked about Batista's people were surely like, yeah, there was fucking torture going on,
yeah.
There's just not really enough accounts of that stuff happening under Castro in comparison. And you can tell me all day long, like, oh, well, it just doesn't get out or whatever. But I'm like, fuck you. Yes, it does. I still don't think.
It was worse before. It was worse before.
It was worse before. Also, I still don't think how it was handled when he did it was,
who did it?
When Castro did it.
When Castro did what?
His
transgressions?
Is
I don't even know if they're transgressions. It's just like...
it's euphemistic language.
If there's any sort of torture, it's a transgression.
I mean, I'm just like, dude, like, you would look so much better on the international stage if you just locked these people up. You know what I mean? And it was, obviously, I've said before, one of the funniest things ever when Carter was like, anybody wants to leave Cuba, and then he empties out all the mental hospitals and prisons and puts them on boats.
Yeah, send Scarface over.
That's like an international joke that never stops being funny to me.
It's brilliant.
It's Watchmen level.
Oh yeah? Anybody that wants to go? Anybody?
Okay.
Because I got some dudes locked up here that are fucking.
Dude, we got
they
this
would
one
love
guy, and
to
he's
go.
got a crazy accent, man.
There's one guy. It's just he's making calendars in here. Let him go.
Yeah. You know, I think there is for them. There was a need for the public to see some accountability on like a Nuremberg type level.
Yeah, for them, yeah.
I mean, he shouldn't have done public. He shouldn't, initially shouldn't have done the public trials.
I disagree.
Well,
I think private is more sinister.
Well,
Yes, but public works if they're not bloody.
you can still have reporters in a private trial. It's when the public trial is a crowd.
When it
Baying
becomes
for blood. Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. Yes.
When it becomes rum. That's when it's a problem, right?
When it becomes rum?
Rome.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's like, oh, well, this is just an event.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't bum these people out by not killing them.
Yes, exactly. Well, hopefully we got the best guy in the business to take care of this.
And if
Yankee.
If they do not kill one at, some fucking, fucking pantomime trial, then they just look to the reporters like, look, we didn't even kill one.
And then he walks over and shits. Oh, not the whole clip.
All right, we'll send it to his mom.
Oh, no, the dogs?
One of them was a dummy round.
He's the dummy round. Okay, so
We hired Alec Baldwin and the guy from The Crow.
the guy.
The guy from The Crow.
The most memorable guy.
Dude, that's on my Dark Avengers list.
Oh, God.
My Dark Justice League is Alec Baldwin, the guy
from The Crow.
The guy who shot Eazy-E up with the AIDS syringe.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
Magic Johnson.
No, Suge Knight.
No, I'm saying this. I'm adding to
He's
the list.
our
I'm not saying
Suge
Magic
Knight.
Johnson. So we're back in 1960, and as the United States responds to the breakup of the sugar estates, and
Still Eisenhower, huh? Right?
no,
1960?
this would be 1960.
Yeah, but the election, I would guess, would be 60. No?
It was an even year. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So I think,
Depends on the month, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Depends
yeah.
on the month.
No, it'd be like January 61 probably.
Then it's Eisenhower,
Yeah.
right? Call good math, John. Good math.
So the United States is ramping up the rhetoric, and in May, and at this point, Marx is starting to get the feeling that he's not that welcome anymore because
I mean, they call me the butcher.
he feels like he's getting followed, and then some of the officers that work near him or with him, or I don't know what near exactly means, but I assume it works close with him. They're arrested,
Uh-oh.
and he feels like he's being tailed a lot.
Wait.
By who?
By Castro's forces.
Why would they be arrested?
Well, because now they are fighting the initially the trials are for Batista's men, and now the trials are for counter-revolutionaries.
But he was a revolutionary.
But he's also a Yankee.
Yeah, but you were on the fucking the trench foot march with Che Guevara.
But it then becomes a war for hearts and minds. Even within his own, now it's now there's a new, they call him the boogeyman.
Okay,
I mean,
go on.
And he's a foreigner.
I'm listening.
Right? I'm trying to follow the thread here too, but I think it also makes sense is now you're purging. It's a purity test now, right?
Yes.
Well, you're gutting the people that did your dirty work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
We're not monsters.
I mean, there's no way for us to know whether his what he was thinking was right. But it is illustrative that William Morgan, a man who is celebrated, a Yankee, who is celebrated for stopping a counter-revolutionary attack and a counter-revolutionary
Could you speak a little bit more about that, because I don't know about him, and I assume there's a few listeners that don't.
So William Morgan was another one of the 24 Yankees who took part in the Revolution, and he became the most famous one because he was celebrated by the Castro regime for stopping a counter-revolutionary activity. Which was, there was this mission that was supposed to attempt to kill Castro, and I don't know all of the details, but
were they Batista sympathizers? Were they American? Were they?
I don't know. But he stopped whatever this counter-revolutionary mission was, and he was celebrated for it. But eventually, later, whether he said he was disillusioned with what was going on, or whether that's what someone else said, I don't entirely remember, but eventually he was executed for then being a counter-revolutionary himself. So these ties are tenuous at this point, especially when America is now the boogeyman. And this guy is well known as the boogeyman.
The boogeyman, Jewish fella.
I'm a boogeyman.
No, not
I'm a boogeyman.
I would say it would probably lean heavily on the paranoia too.
Yeah, I mean, he's not exactly.
It's very helpful that they're American, right? Because they can be whatever boogeyman that the regime needs them to be.
Well, the thing is this. This guy comes to Marx and gives him this envelope saying you're no longer an American citizen. The other version is it could very easily say, if you work for us, you're going to get a lot more than a Packard in a swimming pool. And you're also a vagrant criminal with no morals.
And whether that's true or not, someone can say that.
And we love those.
Well, you can just guess it on the character of the man and be like, why wouldn't he even... Why wouldn't he flip on us? If I know the character of the man, I fucking slept in trenches with him, and the man has no morality. He'd do anything, fuck a dog.
He's immoral.
Then isn't it easier to just...
the suspicions can run rampant at that time, and he feels like people are following him, whether they are the officers near him are arrested. So, I mean, think of it what you like, and Americans are fleeing at this point, and that is only going to fuel suspicion and. Whether it's suspicion of themselves or other people's suspicions of them.
Well, yeah, part of it too can just be like people getting fucking, phone calls from home and being like, "Oh, you got to get out of there. They're fucking,
Sure, but also, as
the Cold War,
as the United States ramps up the invasion rhetoric and Americans start fleeing, the Cuban government can say, "Well, why would they flee unless there's going to be an invasion?" And that only makes them more suspect, the ones that are still there.
And then on his, why would I stay if I didn't think that there was no invasion coming?
Right.
Oh, shit.
So in May of, was it 61?
Charles Xavier and his fucking ragtag crew of fucking mutant teenagers come down. And
it's May of 60. Him and Seacon, they decided it's probably time for them to get out of there. And the following story is largely taken from 2 magazine stories she wrote, and one of them was under a pseudonym, but no one knows exactly what happened next. But this is basically, I think, the general idea. First, her and Marx get a gun and army fatigues in order to blend in.
One gun between the two.
No, a couple guns. Sorry. And then in the dawn, they drive west to a fishing village and they hire a boat for the next morning to go fishing, but then they're going to take the boat. The next morning, they show up to take the boat, and 3 armed soldiers are there waiting for them. And the armed soldiers say, no offense, but a lot of Americans are fleeing. So, and so they take the soldiers out with them and they go fishing for the day.
And they have a great time.
They have a great time.
In fatigues. Oh, these are my fishing fatigues.
You don't want to have the fish see you.
Yeah.
You got to have the camouflage.
Yeah.
This pile of land.
You understand?
Prende?
So after they're done fishing, they take their catch and they put it in their Packard. And
some wonderful fucking ceviche.
Yeah. They drive off, and then as they're driving off, they're stopped at a checkpoint, and Marx recognizes one of the compañeros, I believe.
Yep.
And the guy goes, "Oh, okay." Oh. And it becomes kind of a standoff to the point where Seacon...
What kind of standoff?
Well, Seacon takes the safety off her gun And the compañero says, he says,
What? He's driving around with fish. What's the problem?
well, because why is this Yankee driving all the way across all over this island? They might invade us. What's he doing?
What's he doing here? You're not from around here, are you?
He's got fish.
Yeah, but he lives in Havana.
What
He's
a
not-
convenient
He's not in
cover.
Havana.
Okay.
And so the guy says to him, he says, we're not going to get you here, but we'll get you further on down at another place.
When the fish is
threatening,
rotten,
right?
it's nasty.
So they drive on these cow trails for another couple days, and eventually, they feel like they're not being followed anymore. They arrive in this. They take a ferry to an island, and they charter a 33-foot fishing boat. And when they show up, it's supposed to be the captain and his brother. But when they get there, the captain's teenage son joins, and they get 6 miles from port that morning. And Marks and Seacon pull out their guns.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah, and they say, "All right, you're now going to drive.
Amoral.
You're now going to drive us to Mexico." And the captain goes, "No, we're not." And so they go, "Okay, get in the hold.
Please?
We'll drive. We'll drive the boat to Mexico."
Come on.
So Marx takes this diagonal route to get out of the way of all of the Cuban boats and as they approach Mexico and they can see in the distance the motor dies and the boat is just stuck
Dead
in the ocean. And now it's been a couple days. This is now international news.
What?
Yeah.
What? The Marx has a boat near Mexico?
An American stole a boat, commandeered a boat with Cubans on it, and fled the island. America has all this rhetoric about how they're going to invade
The fish has gone bad. The ceviche is not as fresh as we've ever
Well,
had.
so it was a
Sorry, fellas.
It was a homemade boat, flat bottom boat.
Oh, what?
They hit a Caribbean squall. It was just
Is that true?
yes.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. The Cubans in the hold were puking up.
Nice.
It was just
No.
It was a terrible time. At one point, when they're out on the coast, a frigate comes by and they shoot some guns and they try to SOS it and it just drives by. And then
Fuck all you hoes.
Looks like a bad time.
yeah.
Smells like shit.
And then a Cuban fishing boat comes by and they're all pro-Castro and the Cubans just stand on the edge of the boat and look at them and then drive off. Because they all know who they are at this point.
And they think that he is a counter-revolutionary.
Well, they assume now he's stolen a boat.
Right.
Okay, but you're not a fucking counter-revolutionary because you stole a fucking boat.
Why not?
Anybody can
Because
steal a boat.
he's fleeing the country. What
Yeah,
does
but
that mean?
he's getting followed.
But they don't know
They
that.
don't know
They
that. All they know is that he's fleeing the country.
Yeah, but also
He's an American fleeing the country.
the whole fucking thing is
Why help him?
the guy that fucking executed all of Batista's people is the one under suspicion. Get the
But
fuck
do
out
they
of
know
here.
that?
it's
They were in public. Yes,
But
they know that.
Do the fishermen people that
Yeah.
are on...
Yes, he is celebrity.
no, not. I mean, at this point, he stole a boat.
I don't think they're reading
Oh,
news.
he's more famous for stealing a boat than executing.
It's the
Yeah,
last
I
thing
don't
you
think
did. It's the last thing
I
you
don't
did.
think that those fucking habaneros read fucking Time magazine from 6 months ago.
This is unionizing against thought.
You know, I'm a bit of a socialist when it comes to this aspect.
Just the listeners, if you guys know what the fuck I'm talking about, because these guys are gaslighting the fucking shit out of me.
We're not gaslighting you. Like,
That's what a gaslighter would say.
what? And everybody's sucking sand?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. This is not devil's advocate. This is just saying I don't know if the fishing crew that goes by
The butcher, a nickname he has.
Yeah, but I don't think they're reading the New York Times. I think they're watching the TV from an hour ago.
Yeah,
The Cubans.
Yes,
the Cubans hear that an American.
is leaving the country with 2 Cuban.
Okay, but also just in the people in the know, in Cuba, in the revolutionary fucking, atmosphere or whatever, in the whole thing, they're like, why are we shifting suspicion onto this guy for anything other than he's just American?
Why
He got gangrene.
But that's
he
the
got
best
gangrene
because
marching-
he's American.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying.
No.
I'm thinking how they think. I'm thinking how people think.
The guy that got gangrene.
They're not reading. They don't get a profile from Matt on him. They see that he's an American fleeing the country at a time where Americans are threatening to invade.
But I'm saying the people in the aristocracy of
Do you think the aristocracy is driving that fishing boat that comes up upon them?
No, I don't. No. But I'm saying, why did even suspicion initially fall?
Because the scapegoats are. It's great to scapegoat people, especially groups of people.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of this too is a lot of this shit that vibes out a lot of people, including.
What
Jay.
do you mean? What do you mean?
You know, it's just, it gets really crazy and it gets really paranoid, and you know, there's some very like, you know, Stalinist kind of Machiavellian stuff.
I agree, yes, it vibes out smart people.
Well, who's next at a certain point?
Right.
But that's how it always. That's how it always
is.
Works.
Yeah.
So don't act surprised. I mean, you're not. You get it.
The guy that is the most violent and taking the brunt of the embarrassment on your behalf, especially being American, is useful to you, right?
And in this case, his use is being a scapegoat.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're useful until the very end, and even then, you're useful.
Right, but it wouldn't have been. It shouldn't have got to this point, in my opinion. Even on a shrewd level, you know.
What do you mean it shouldn't have got to this point?
Like,
on whose account?
On the account of the Castro regime.
Who knows if he was?
This is the guy that like you keep around, you know, the same way Stalin wanted to keep Hitler around.
I mean, no,
it's
but
like, oh, he makes me look good. And
but who knows if he? I don't think it's Castro's thing. I mean, listen.
Yeah.
I think there's tons of, you know, little lieutenants and shit running around who are trying to garner favor, and they go, oh wait, an American. I don't think it came from the top. Stop any American fleeing the border. It's, you know,
well, I think
middle management going, I might get a raise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, you know what? In fairness, as devil's advocate to my own shit,
Which is good.
guys from, you know, Sierra Maestra, you know, that actually were with him when he got gangrene and all that shit. They're like, even then, it's not a fit.
Yeah.
He's not one of us.
So the lack of trust, you know. But also, I mean, it would have been such a better look if, you know, the good version of him, the William Morgan, if he wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, if you kept some Yankees around, you wouldn't look like this bloodthirsty, paranoid regime.
It's not a bad look to get rid of the guy known as the Butcher.
It's a worse look to make a butcher. You know what I mean?
Yes, but now you say, well, we've moved beyond the butchery.
We've learned from our ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the guy giving the orders is the real butcher. Let's be real.
Jay?
Come on. The guy pulling the trigger. Come on.
Oh.
Who's more of a butcher? Fucking, you know, some guy in Baghdad or Donald Rumsfeld? It's Donald Rumsfeld.
Yeah, of course.
Well, he's the guy that owns the butcher company.
Billy.
He's a chief executive butcher.
Yeah.
So anyway, the
Sorry.
No, it's okay. That's good. Day 7. They've now been doing this for 7 days, and they're in bad shape. But they're spotted by an American shrimp boat. They are able to hail the American shrimp boat.
It's run by a charming, simple man and his war buddy, colored fellow, and a guy with no legs.
Not the colored fellow.
I was talking about Forrest Gump and Bubba.
Yeah, but
Lieutenant
Bubba was
Dan.
dead.
Bubba was dead. That's right.
That's
Lieutenant
right.
Dan.
Well, his name was on his name. His name was on the logo.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Lieutenant Dan was there, and he was.
You think Bubba would have let that guy run the boat?
Well, you know, he let him run. I'll tell you that. He was good at running everything.
That's right. Run with it.
We're spotted by an American shrimp boat. The boat gives their boat a full tank of gas, 10 gallons of water. Him and Secon, they get on the American boat.
Doing that thing.
Yeah, doing it. The Cubans take their boat back to Cuba. And the captain of the American boat has no idea who these people are.
And then he takes them on board.
Yeah.
He takes the Americans
Yeah.
on board.
He's just like, oh, some friendly Americans trying to flee these traps.
Hey, is that a twins hat you got there, pal?
You fellas from Cuba, I hear it's like the Poige.
I saw Ron DeConque call it the Poige.
Yeah, I mean, now that I've just said it out loud, the American captain shows up and finds this boat where conceivably, still at this point, 7 days in, the two Americans are guns drawn, holding the Cubans below deck.
Yeah, and it goes, you white people keeping them savages in check? All right, come on board. We'll give them half a tank of gas just to get them deep enough into the squad and die. You come with me. We'll get you some burgers. It's in group shit. You're white. Come with me. Let them go.
Yeah.
So this is
real. I don't know.
This American captain, he said he brings them back to America, and he's like, they seem friendly. So he doesn't tell immigration about it. It's something if you pick up people on the ocean and you bring them to the country, you're supposed to tell immigration services about it.
And
he's not a citizen.
Right.
He's persona non grata.
And so this captain, when it eventually is revealed, what happened, he's fined $4,000. That's about $38,000 today.
But he's a shrimp boat captain. He's fucking rich.
He's a shrimp boat captain, all the way out in Mexico.
I'm a simple human trafficker.
I traffic in humans.
And I got shrimp, too, if you like that.
Which do you prefer?
We got both.
Well, if 10, 12 shrimp ain't your cup of tea, well, I tell you, I've got a 13 to 14-year-old her human.
Oh, no.
Jesus.
This one's a Herman.
And this one's a mermaid.
So him and Marks and Seekin, they then flee to Mexico City because that's like the hot spot for like anybody who's like trying to escape their government. That's the place to go.
A capital of another government.
Yeah. And she writes about the trip for magazine. He applies for asylum. Eventually, he feels like he's being followed by the CIA and Castro's men.
Jesus living Christ.
She goes to New York City. At one point, he's jumped by a couple men in a van. He's able to escape. He then leaves Mexico. He goes to New York City to an apartment that Seekin had kept like throughout this whole adventure.
Nice.
They don't have any furniture. They just have a mattress on the ground.
Tight.
He takes the name Fred Keller. He starts working odd jobs, just as like a handyman and blah, blah, blah.
Butcher.
But he feels like, anybody could be after him at this point. And this is from a parrot. He was hated by the exiled supporters of Batista, whose cronies he had executed. He was hated by the moderate Cuban exiles who saw him as a stooge of the Castro regime. He's hated by the pro-Castro agents who felt he had deserted the revolution. For good measure, he's also wanted by the FBI as a potential subversive. Could be arrested at any moment by the U.S. Immigration Naturalization Services and illegal alien. He lost his citizenship, after all. When he came back into the country, he said that when he crossed the border, they just asked him for ID, and I think he said that he just showed him like his old Wisconsin driver's license. Yeah. They were like, "Oh, okay,
cool."
That was it.
Yeah,
they didn't run any checks or anything.
Welcome home, pal.
Oh.
Your name's Fred now, pal. And so he just does this for a bit, and Gene reaches out to the CIA for a meeting, saying like, "Hey, maybe this will bring us protection." The meeting's postponed, and then Seekin, under a pseudonym, writes an interview with Marx. It becomes the cover story for this, at the time, popular magazine called Cavalier Magazine. And there's so much detail in it that it would eventually be used as evidence in court against him. And there's so much detail in it that it tips off immigration services that Marx is in New York City right now.
God damn it.
I was down here at the fucking 5 and 9 corner of Wabash and Lake.
Geez, I got a fucking bagel down there the other day.
Good couple, good Jewish couple over there.
It reminded me about executions, my first love.
Locks, my second. Remind me of the time I escaped from prison. I'll detail the exact times and dates.
So a few months later, the
dates reminds me of the rape I did in the barn.
Oh, God. Christ.
Anywho, I hope you're not taking notes on this too diligently.
So a few months later, a couple of INS, Immigration Naturalization Services agents, show up about 4 a.m. They convinced Marx that they're just looking after him, and they wrote up this whole document. And if he could just sign it, just to confirm, the events, and it's a formality, and don't worry about it.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, and then he signs it, and then they put him in handcuffs, and they arrest him, and they say they're going to deport him to Cuba, and they take him to jail.
Oh no!
God.
Yeah, it's pretty standard stuff for the U.S. government, or any sort of
power.
You go back to Cuba, you motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean. So he's
You're gonna love it there. I hear they execute people.
One guy down there, real butcher.
Yeah, he's nasty. I mean, he's a real freak.
You, Fred, you're not going to stand.
You're gonna have not a good time.
He's in custody without being charged for 9 months because his case keeps being postponed.
Yeah.
He once again makes it in the New York Times. RFK proclaims it a personal victory that they have caught this man. Eventually, the ACLU steps up after
Habeas corpus. Come on.
After Marx loses his lawyer, the ACLU steps up. And the ACLU is a group that basically started because of the Red Scare.
Yeah.
As kind of like someone has to represent these fucking people.
Yeah, man. It was
The
a
railroad.
fucking witch hunt. Come on.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, the whole fucking.
Are you a witch being hunted? Have you been accused of being a communist?
I mean,
through no fault of your own?
listen. Here's the thing.
I'll represent you.
Here's the thing I'm going to say. I think the American government does terrible things all the time. I think it's mostly a business-run enterprise. One of the worst things about political correctness in the recent era is, people should always be treasuring the freedom of speech.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the ACLU is also, taking advantage of real, rights that we gave ourselves when we were revolutionary. And those are things to actually be proud of about America. And instead they always get painted as like these faggot.
Who? The ACLU?
Yeah.
You can say faggot because of the ACLU.
That's exactly right. As is my right.
Well, that's the thing. That's the
But
thing
no,
about them.
they'll defend the KKK for
That's exactly right.
Do you know why there was a rally in Charlottesville? Because the ACLU fought for there to be a rally in Charlottesville.
There was a rally.
No. That rally went on because the ACLU.
They didn't put it on.
No, they said you can't ban them from having a rally.
But that is still
true.
good.
That is true.
Right.
But
what do you argue?
But all I'm saying is the rally didn't. The ACLU
I'm not saying they did.
Start the rally.
I'm not saying they
They
did.
defended the right of
This is my point to John saying there's this belief.
We all agree.
Okay, good. And honestly, they will not replace us.
No,
No.
that is not what we're saying.
But it
boy.
is your right to say that, I guess.
It's your right to say it, and it's my right.
And it's your right to believe it.
It's my right.
And you're right to believe it,
It's
John.
my right to be pissed off at you for saying.
Yeah, so that was my counterpoint to, as John's saying, there is this belief that they are some insipid or
No, they're pretty fucking neutral.
Yes.
Pretty neutral.
Yes.
Yeah, and also just
Yeah.
there's. I think anybody that is, they kind of represent some of the things while being painted as the libtards or whatever.
They still will
fight
the fight for the people that we don't like.
They really incite some of the anarchistic spirit that people on the right and left both enjoy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they fucking they get a bad rap and.
Well, they get a bad rap from both sides when both sides benefit from their existence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, fuck them.
Okay, so the ACLU gets involved because what? Because he's basically being interned?
Well,
he's been no habeas corpus.
No.
So, and this is from Paradet.
Para what?
The guy who wrote the book.
Oh, okay.
No, in the article. It's a shorter version of it.
He wrote the book. The article felt like a book. Feels like one.
Marx's treatment by the INS was part of a constitutional drama that remained unresolved for the full 40 years of the ACLU's existence. At issue is whether U.S. citizenship was an innate right protected by the 14th Amendment or a gift granted by the federal government that can be removed at will by denationalizing the native-born or denaturalizing some people from other countries who attain American most Americans today are unaware of the right of citizenship was ever at risk. But the removal of it, a tactic most often wielded by authoritarian regimes, was for decades the U.S. government's ultimate weapon against individuals deemed undesirable. Red Scare. Left wing, the fear of left-wing immigrants, but most notoriously, Russian-born feminist and anarchist firebrand Emma Goldman lost her use in
These Russian-born feminists, these fucking...
on a trumped-up technicality and was shipped off to Moscow.
Right.
So, Gordon takes up this case, and he argues, he says, citizenship shouldn't be stripped. It should be renounced. He says, Grace Kelly is the ruler of a foreign country.
Right, she has to renounce.
She still has her citizenship.
Right.
So how does this guy
You can't
lose
strip
his?
it. And she's hot.
Well, that certainly helps. And so in March of 61, when this is happening, William Morgan, now he's executed by Castro's Cuba. And so it's very clear to everybody involved that Marx you can't just hand him back to the island. You can't hand back this guy and say, well, I guess you go kill him.
Yeah.
Right. So that becomes part of, the story of the case too. And so then there's, this back and forth where,
it seems like the CIA would want some kind of an asset too, of an insider. Or something.
But he's amoral.
But even when they just hand him the envelope, like I said, why not try to
because they know his psych profile and that
it will
But
become
the CIA uses pieces of shit all the time for all kinds of jobs.
This was an unusable piece of shit, perhaps.
So this would become something that
he's a revolutionary.
This becomes just keep that in mind for how this all ends.
Oh, it's cogent salient point.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
What you're saying?
I didn't say that.
You fucking asshole.
So
I really gotta pee. Can we take a break?
Oh, sorry.
Take a quick break, folks. We'll be right back.
Sorry, yeah.
And we're back. All right. So
court, right? So he goes in front of the court, and there's this back and forth with these arguments of
what is the charge?
The charge is fighting in
A foreign
military. Yeah.
Therefore, we strip you of your citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And part of the argument for the prosecution is that this guy is a fucking scumbag. And
CLU is like, it's your right to be a scumbag.
yes, because there isn't anything that says we have
There's
to
no
take
scumbag clause in the
Yes.
Bill of Rights.
Exactly.
There is a Santa Claus, however.
And so some of the prosecution witnesses, former public defender for Batista's officers, Israel Agaz Imaya, testified that Marx would die of laughing whenever a death sentence was handed down by the revolutionary tribunals in 1959. He had witnessed many executions. He attested, I saw the bodies, I saw the coffins, I saw the blood on the floor. Marx spent his days molesting the prisoners, making fun of all of them. He was the terror of every prisoner. They called him the death bird. And thank you, Lloyd, the public defender for Batista's officers. I mean, was he
Credible witness.
I mean, when he was still around, they hadn't executed him, so he wasn't.
The guy saying this shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he.
How did you get out?
He was a public defender for Batista's officers during the Castro tribunals, so maybe they
I'm
had
a
some sort of
simple
acceptance for him. Maybe he
defender.
wasn't. So maybe it could be true.
Could be.
Who's to say?
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
And so the INS kept making these arguments, saying like we should be able to not give him citizenship, and so it just kind of went back and forth like this. Gordon could never, his lawyer could never find Marx's friends. Marx never really had any friends. So
Gene's seeking.
yeah, but that's I don't know if it doesn't say whether she testified, but any sort of like ranking official or journalist never seemed to make it to the stand.
Well, it's also the States, too. Like, they're not supposed to, right?
Well, one thing, I mean, Gordon says, unfortunately, the reaction has been that people are afraid to testify in a court of this sort.
Yeah.
Because if you testify for this
fucking
man,
red flag. Now they start
Right.
looking into you.
Yes.
But
Not a lot of character witnesses for OJ,
You're right.
who just got out of jail today.
Oh, I think there was. OJ got out of jail today?
Yeah.
For what?
OJ's been in jail for fucking a few years. For that like armed robbery of I think the Heisman Trophy.
I thought he got out of jail a while ago.
No, he got out of jail like today. Anyways. He's no Herman.
Murray Kempton, I believe is from the New York Times. I can't remember. Yeah, New York Post. He wrote, Gordon is either working in a court rather like La Cabana. Its fundamental theory is represented by the notion that Marx, being a bad lot, should have his citizenship taken away on some excuse or another. If American citizenship were confined to the virtuous, of course, there'd be no voters except Pat Nixon and Billy Graham.
Nice.
And so you can see the at least the journalistic opinion is swaying, being like, this is just ridiculous.
It's a kangaroo court.
No.
Yeah. And so, but because as this is going on, April 17th, as this trial is happening.
Bay of Pigs.
Yes.
Right.
And so then the ruling comes down in June. The judge says Marx is a, quote, stateless person. And he could be deported to any country that would accept him. But no country would.
Not even Thailand? Too old.
God.
Gordon eventually got Marx's bail reduced, so he was able to pay it, and the ACLU got a fund together and
paid his bail.
Yeah,
so he was able to just walk around the United States.
Yes,
well, it was a prowl or skulking.
yeah.
Loiter.
Oh, I mean that'll also come back.
Vagrants.
He heads back, live with Seekin, but the INS shadowed him everywhere. At one point, he joins the Teamsters. And the INS...
Oh, the union.
The INS shows up and says, do you know who this guy is? And gives him this whole intel on him. And then Teamsters make him resign. So it's like, thanks. Thanks for your help. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, why are you... Shouldn't you just prosecute me or leave me alone? Like, why are you just going to go around fucking and, like, making my life worse at every step?
Right.
Which is also very American of them.
Yeah. It's still not as bad as the Red Scare shit, though, I guess. Though it just... pretty, I guess, wound down considerably from the 50s.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that guy would be like, fucking, they'd probably want to fucking hang him.
Or, I mean, he would have been, I mean, like they said about, what's her name? She was deported to the Soviet Union.
Oh, Emma Goldman, yeah.
So eventually his case makes it to the Supreme Court. And based on the composition of the court, it was going to be 5-4 in Marx's favor.
Those are the projections.
Yes. And this is from Paratet. Progressive Justice William Brennan discovered that his son, a lawyer, had discussed Marx's case with an attorney working to prevent Marx from regaining his status as a citizen. Brennan felt that he had to recuse himself due to conflict of interest.
Wow.
Which is just, I mean, in today's climate, just absolutely fucking insane. Yeah. My son talked to somebody about this case.
Oh,
this national news that everybody's talking about, my son talks to somebody about.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Clarence Thomas's wife is talking, like, is making speeches at anti-abortion
and he's putting his pubes all over that poor girl's Pepsi and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So Brennan recuses himself. The court comes back 4-4. No decision. Well, because there's no decision, the last decision before it went to the Supreme Court was that Marx could not get his citizenship. And so they revert to that decision. And Marx is
man of that country.
But because no other country will take him, there's nowhere for him to go, and he just stays in the U.S.
Okay.
And
he's like that Tom Hanks movie, The Terminal.
No.
He just has to stay in.
So are you like an illegal immigrant? Sorta.
And,
I'm a less than legal traveler.
And so 5 days after this decision comes down, the New York Times publishes an editorial supporting Marx. And then not long after this, Marx is arrested for forcing his way into Sakon's apartment.
I thought you were going to say
they're not together anymore.
Wait. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why was he breaking in there?
Because she didn't want him to.
Oh, so they like split.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, he was a man without a country. No self-respecting.
I mean, this had been going on for a while, and you can only imagine, like, there's some tension of that. It was not good
for
both of
anybody.
them.
Yeah.
And she was she was about 10, 15 years younger than him, and she,
Had a
Hollywood and
journal
other
job, yeah.
careers. And in August of 1965, a year later, he grabbed some binoculars. He climbed 30 feet up into a tree and tried to spy on one of his neighbors.
Prowling.
He was discovered, and as he was discovered, he fell and broke his leg, and that's where he was arrested.
Ejaculating.
It's my ankle.
The newspapers called him Castro's Peeping Tom.
God
Yes.
damn it.
They have such a good memory. The INS wanted to deport him, but no one would take him, so they couldn't.
Yeah, who's going to be like, I'll have the people.
Yeah.
Is he a butcher?
He hasn't had sex with a 16-year-old, has he?
Oh, boy. How are his ankles? He moves back to Milwaukee, lives with his mother. A year later, 1966, a woman there accuses him of molesting her daughters,
Jesus, living Christ.
a.k.a. indecent liberties, they called it.
Was she lying?
His mother says that this woman was a ne'er-do-well, but
A busybody.
Scallywag, a Jezebel.
she asked Marks to babysit her daughters, and then one day one of her daughters told her what happened.
Yeah, good idea. I'm the butcher.
Plus, I'm a man without a country. Can I watch your kids?
Yeah.
Marks walks into the DA's office while she's being interviewed, sees her, leaves. No one sees him again for 2 weeks. And then someone sees him driving a car past his mother's place. And then he's never seen again, ever.
Holy
What?
shit.
Yeah. And some people say, oh, the CIA maybe went back to Cuba, maybe. And, they reached out to the CIA when he got to New York. And the CIA never followed up on it. And you think, well, this is a guy who knew Che and Castro. If there was ever going to be some sort of secret thing, would this guy be involved more than Oswald?
Mm-hmm.
But the CIA postponed their meeting. And he never met with the CIA, as far as anyone knows.
He took a job at the Texas School Book Depository.
Yeah, I think postponement with the CIA also seems ridiculous. The CIA doesn't seem to be like, oh, we got a scheduling conflict.
They just don't care. Maybe his train was late.
We got a lot of emails to read. From everybody.
But I think this is Murray Kempton in the New York Post again. He writes in his coverage of El Carnicero, he writes, there must be a moment in the course of every revolution when its maximum leader demands that for certain responsibilities, there must be found for him an American gangster. And Kempton says, such a man is our very own. The country gave birth to him and formed his character. And Perrottet says, he's not un-American. Kempton argues the opposite. Marx is, in fact,
most American.
utterly American.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brilliant.
That perhaps is the most certain part of the butcher's strange tale.
And
That
that
is
is his
very
folly.
good.
His
Yes.
folly was that he was his father's son.
Yes.
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 Yes. He learned his trade in America. He brought it to other countries.
Well, it makes me think of, again, back to X-Men, the First Class, Magneto himself, a victim of brutal, racist war crimes and torture, and then would go on to perpetrate those same very things. Not unlike the state of Israel.
It is very,
You agree. I know you do.
All right, well, you can't force your opinions on me. You agree? I know you're telling me I agree.
Wouldn't you agree?
I know you.
No,
do.
I think it's far more similar to Karl Panzram thing. Except Karl Panzram had the thing where he was immoral. Because
Yes.
he was kind of shown that the system of morality was corrupt and most immoral.
Yes.
So he was deliberately immoral, but he knew very much the difference between right and wrong. This guy is a far more elusive, mysterious character.
Yes.
And I do think there must have been something about the whole Castro deal where he was just like, oh, yeah, like, I'm actually into this.
Yeah, well, I mean, the wearing the shells on the jacket, that's a choice, right? That's his.
I mean,
that's a fashion choice, and that fashion choice emanates from perhaps pride.
But also, if you think that you are doing something noble, these are my it's not my fashion choice, but like you can understand. Like, listen, if I'm not, I want those Nazi scalps.
Oh, no, Aaron, this is very, very interesting what you're saying, because I completely agree that the fervor that would come out of, say, post-World War II stuff, there was a thing of, like, realizing...
This we could be stopping the next whatever.
But Americans kind of, like, capitalized on, like, we didn't know how right we were until we walked into Auschwitz.
Right.
And then we realized, like, oh, these guys really were fucking scum. This guy actually knew these guys were, like, murderous scumbags.
Yeah.
And so he was
one of them, yeah.
And, well, but...
No, meaning
the Batista
he knew
people.
the Batista.
Sorry.
Yes, but, you know, so it was like...
These guys were lining up people in the streets, innocent people, civilians, and just fucking murking them. And so this guy came in and he's murking the murkers.
Right. And even before that, when Teddy Roosevelt was in Cuba, he had that same kind of fervor of the passion of the deliberate murder against an evil enemy.
Right.
You know, it's kind of a thing that's played up in America. Like, we play up cowboys and Indians, and then people fucking grow up with that shit, you know, and they get carried away or whatever, you know? And so I think he had his own version of that, you know, where it was justified
murder.
Yeah.
No, I can see that, yeah.
You know, and probably it was also coinciding with the first time he felt worth.
Right.
Yes, I mean, after all of these prison colonies and, you know, running from the law and broken ankles, and now finally, like, they give him a Packard.
Right, and it was cool, and you've given this poor soul a purpose.
Yes.
And then at the end, you decide that, oh, now it's not. And listen, I don't believe any of this. I'm kind of just working it out. You know, maybe this poor guy found you know, some meaning in his life, something that he was good at, something that was, I guess, a net positive at the time of killing authoritarians.
Yeah, I mean, I think it says a lot about, like, at this time he met seemingly he had a stable relationship. Right. He wasn't trying to pick up
exactly.
You know, girls in bars.
She hung out with him for a while.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you're no longer useful, then you're disposable.
Right.
So.
And then also, like, you know, I'm thinking about, like, informing the thing of, like, you know, knowing where you come from, knowing what you've done, knowing kind of what you are.
And trying to leave that behind.
Trying to leave it behind, but also not leaving it behind in the way of being like, you know what, if anybody's got to do all this this dirty work, I'll do it.
I'm amoral, man. I'll do the fucking thing. I'll do the fucking thing.
You know?
Yeah.
There's...
You don't want... You want any part of this, Dewey?
That's right.
I think there's a thing too, though, like when they talk about the eagerness to do the executions when they're in the revolutionary campaign. Part of that is also ingratiating yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the torchbearer. I'm the most fervent.
Fella, I don't speak Spanish, but I'll tell you what, I can fucking pull the trigger, no problem. You want so habla
bullet.
Donde
el bullet in your head, pal.
The gun habla bullet.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So there's a thing there too.
Well, it's the same. You know, they say,
himself.
You know, like nobody works harder than an illegal immigrant.
And they're like,
well, he was an immigrant and he has to work harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, this guy,
he does the job nobody else wants to do.
This guy's so eager to do it, and you go like, yeah, but like,
he just wants to impress his boss.
Right. I mean, I think there's definitely some of the, but you know,
also
they did seems like a real asshole.
Yeah, the fact that he's arbitrary in peace, like,
arbitrary, tyrannical,
and arbitrary, and also just a history of
violence,
being a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
not even really a history of violence. It was more. I think his history comparatively is.
A vagrancy and prowling.
It's more mischief.
Yeah. Until it's not.
Even the rape, I think, is not rape. I think is statutory.
Yeah, I mean, the part of the story of that is that she had ID that said she was 18 at the bar.
Oh, well, yeah, she was at the bar. What do you want?
So
I'm siding with him on that one. Was she 18 at the barn?
No, she was 16 and then 17.
And then 17. Man, time works funny around here. It's kind of one of them freaky time loops.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely there's violence involved. And he's not a safe character. You wouldn't want him. You wouldn't want to hang out with him.
Yeah,
you wouldn't want him around your friends or family.
I just think there's.
But in a revolution,
It's a really.
they needed an American.
It's just so sad though that there was so much of that fear of the Manchurian candidate type stuff that the U.S. couldn't just look at him and go like, okay, so like you're with them from the fucking mountains to Havana. Like, we should really just debrief the shit out of you and, like...
Yeah.
And then let you just fucking live in peace because, like, you are an asset just in, like, sheer intelligence of, like, a personality profile of Che Guevara.
Oh, yeah.
Like you know...
You fought with him. You marched with him.
Everything we said about Matthew Weigman and stuff
They
like
should
that.
have let him escape because when he was leaving the country, the U.S. should have come and got him and said, "You're home now, but we'll give you the Packard."
You had a wacky night in the woods. It was a zany vacation.
Nobody can blame you.
But now you're back in fucking...
Now you got a pool and a 2-car garage.
But that was also...
But you got to tell us everything you know.
That's also two different administrations. Kennedy doesn't want to clean up Eisenhower's mess.
Oh no, you know what? I would say in that regard it is not really too different because Kennedy was very paranoid about communism. It was one of the things him and Nixon bonded over.
Well, maybe he was paranoid about this guy who was with the communists.
No, but I'm saying that was why they didn't make the best use of the asset is because they were still too paranoid.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yes, exactly.
Of that fucking shit where they were like, oh, he's gonna dupe us, and you're like,
we don't think we could ever resist this guy's charm.
yeah.
Oh boy, he really loves the Cubs.
This son of a bitch.
Get him some fucking Bush Light like Matthew McConaughey and fucking True Detective.
Yeah,
seriously. And
get him some
and let him talk.
Yeah.
Like that was just like duh.
Yeah.
Like,
he was coming home for a reason.
Yeah. So the people that will debrief,
He was fleeing into your arms.
You know the people that
running home.
The people that flip people into informants, like the FBI and stuff like that. They'll always be like, recognize when the person is vulnerable, when they do have nowhere else to go,
and
then just capitalize.
Yes.
And instead, they did.
They're yours. They're coming back.
You can't go back to Cuba, of all places.
Yeah, and you don't want to, right? Yeah, they really blew it there.
Yeah, it's just it's kind of fucking insane.
Yeah, but these people are crazy.
I think the fervor was it made everybody just
everyone was scared red.
Arguably, I mean, do you think that is the height of the Cold War? I would kind of say
the red this moment here.
Early 60s. Yeah.
The Cuban Missile Crisis is the height of the Cold War.
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
It's incredible.
You know?
Might happen again. Taiwan and Ukraine. Woo, boy.
Yeah.
Front row for the seats.
We got them all.
Popcorn ready.
There's a thing there, too.
Roasted over the
between Truman and Kennedy, the two Democrats, was arguably the most reasonable Republican of all time, Eisenhower, who's like, let's make roads.
How about that?
And he's like,
highways.
I was like, I'm not,
Let's spend money.
But also, he did also preside over the Red Scare, so that was certainly not reasonable at all.
Pretty good.
That was fucking great, man.
Yeah, I think you guys would
Never
like
heard
that.
of this guy.
No, me neither.
Hermano Marx.
Herman.
De Buche.
Hermano Marx is brother Marx.
Bruno Marx.
No. Brother Marx. Hermano is brother. Herman. Herman is Herman.
Chimelo Marx.
Chimelo Marx?
Oh, now it's time to get out of here.
He said it.
You said it in Spanish. I alluded to it in English.
Herman.
That's why I said it. So that you would say it.
Oh, so you're taking credit for the joke?
I incepted you into doing it.
Don't even argue about this
trying
one.
to make me feel bad. Okay.
Do you want to take credit for the offensive humor? Go for it, pal. Nice.
Yeah.
Get the other guy to say it. And then take credit for the idea.
I can't believe you said that.
Dude.
But I said it first.
I said it in my
I wish you said it as good as I did.
That was awesome, man.
That was great.
So you really just got it from that book?
No, the article.
Yeah, I got it.
I thought you were saying you got it from the footnote.
No, that's where
that guy got it.
The author of the article got it.
Got it.
Shout out to Tony Perotat for just fucking
Tony.
Perotet.
Dude, you said it 5 different ways.
I know, and I've heard it a million times. I still don't know what you're saying.
Just spell it.
Tony, Perrottet.
Perot.
Parrot it. I'm Tony Perrottet.
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 Perrotte.
E.T.
There's an extra T. There's 3 T's.
Ettette. Can you just show it to me?
Come home.
Perottettet.
Oh,
Perrottet.
yeah, parrotet.
Oh, like how I said it?
A parrotet.
Oh, that's weird.
Perhaps it's parrotet.
It's a pair of tits.
Oh.
Now, what's an atavist?
You get 1.
All right.
Never you mind what an atavist is. Man, that was excellent.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
A true scoundrel.
Yeah, no, just a real...
And a stinker.
A real stinker, yeah.
Major stinker.
Yeah, just, God, you're one of those guys.
stinker reporting for duty, sir.
Like, okay, well, I guess keep going, living your life, and then he just just those stories where they just disappear, no one ever sees him again. You're like,
Him and that drug dealer are out there in Ecuador getting plastic surgery and banging 18-year-olds.
Or the guy who killed Booth.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
with the no balls.
Yeah, he had no balls.
He got Fidel
He
castrated.
probably met that German guy we talked about in the Patreon. That's good. That's good.
I think he might
But
be-
you might think he was circumcised.
Exactly. Fidel circumcised.
Fidel circumciso.
Check out the Patreon for that fucking
more.
inside joke.
All right, guys, well, let's get out of here. Matt, great job.
Thank you.
I'm going to say goodnight. I love you. My name is John Fahey.
I'm Aaron Pita.
Viper soap.
Good night, everybody. We love you.
Bye.
Scarpins Avenue.